Good evening, everybody. Let's get started. Let's call this meeting of the Missoula Board of Adjustments to order. I'm going to read a quick script so that anybody participating knows how to do so. When I call for public comment, please use the raise or lower your hand feature on Zoom and let me know that you wish to be recognized. Our host will allow you to talk and you'll need to unmute your mic. If you've joined us by phone today, you can raise and lower your hand by pressing *9 and mute and unmute using *6. If you're participating by phone, I'll call on you by reading the last 4 digits of your phone number. If you are participating by computer, I'll call the last name that was listed when you entered our webinar. There we are. All right. Admin, could you please do a roll call to make sure we have a quorum?
Sure. Sandy Mitchell is present. Patrick Brightcomb is present. Hans Hoffman is present. Lance Coach is present. John Newman, present. Don Briggs, is he? He was present. Probably got disconnected, or is he in attendee list?
Yeah, he's there. I see his name up on the list.
Okay. And Joseph Sokanek is absent.
And with that, we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Great. See, I think we have 2 months worth of minutes to approve. Let's start with May 26th minutes. I have read them and they look accurate to me. If anybody has any additions, let us know. Otherwise, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from May 26th?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. In this forum, I think it is easier to ask for any negatives. Is there anybody who does not wish to approve the minutes as they are written? Hearing none, the minutes from May 26th are approved. Moving on to the minutes from June 23rd. Unfortunately, we did not have a quorum, so I have read those minutes. They did look as accurate. Well, I was not there, but they seemed very reasonable. Maybe somebody who was there could move to approve those minutes.
Also move.
Okay, a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Does anybody wish to not approve those minutes? Hearing none, the minutes for June 23rd are approved. Moving on to general public comment. This is public comment on non-agenda items. If there's anybody who would like to register a public comment, please let us know by raising your hand. I see we do have one phone participant. So just wanted to make sure that you heard that the way to raise your hand if you joined by phone is pressing *9. And then you'll need to mute and unmute using *6. Seeing no raised hands, we'll move on to the next agenda item, staff announcements. Are there any staff announcements? Hearing none, moving on to the public hearing. This is a public hearing regarding Wheat Montana, the Wheat Montana variance application. I apologize to those representatives who are here now for a second month. Hopefully we can make this relatively quick. Is there a presentation?
There is. There may be some background noise. I am in the office and forgot that the custodians often clean at this time. So just a heads up. Good afternoon. My name is Spencer Stark. I'm an associate planner with the Community Planning and Development and Innovation Department. Before you today is a variance request for Wheat Montana to add a drive-through at their 2520 South 3rd Street West location in Missoula, Montana. The site is located at the corner of South 3rd Street and Reserve Street. It's within the commercial mixed use land use designation, which allows for a broad range of functions, including retail, education, financial institutions, professional and personal services, offices, residences, and general service activities. And this is a part of the Our Missoula growth policy. It is zoned neighborhood commercial, C12, and it's within the design excellence overlay, more specifically the typology 4 corridor node. Earlier this year, the drive-through was previously reviewed and approved by staff for compliance with the design excellence standards. The site is surrounded by multiple types of land uses. To the east of the subject property is a single detached residential house. To the west of the subject property is a parking lot. North of the subject property is a food and beverage retail establishment. And south of the subject property is a multi-residential development, medical offices, and general offices. Currently, the area to be developed is consists of lawn and some landscaping. This is a view looking west off of Reserve Street, and this is looking north off of South 3rd Street West. The site is developed as shown on the screen, with the parking lot west of the existing building. The applicant has requested to vary from Title 20, Section 2060, 110C2. More specifically, the 20-foot separation from the right-of-way for drive-throughs located within 50 feet of the roadway. In this case, the roadway is the physical road bed, and the right-of-way is the land or parcel area that the roadway occupies. The applicant is proposing to install the drive-through to the south and east of the existing building. The drive aisle will be accessed from the southwestern corner of the existing parking lot, will wrap around the south and eastern portions of the existing restaurant, where the service area denoted here will be located, and it will exit north in the northern section of the parking lot. The proposed drive-through will be 31 feet from the South 3rd Street West roadway and 3.8 feet from the right-of-way along 136 feet of the South 3rd Street West right-of-way. Along Reserve Street, the drive aisle will be 48.1 feet from the roadway and 8.5 feet from the right-of-way. Should be noted that at this location, the right-of-way boundary is set back from the roadway a greater distance than is typical. The applicant is proposing to include ample landscaping. As part of the design excellence review, the applicant was required to provide this landscaping in order to screen the drive-through. The design excellence perimeter vehicle use landscaping and the build to area character requirements are beyond the requirements of the perimeter vehicle use chapter in Title 20, and were used to address the visual impacts of the drive-through along the South Reserve Street and South 3rd Street West corridors. The applicant has provided renderings of the landscaping in place. This is looking north from South 3rd Street West, and this is looking west from Reserve Street. Some concerns over the impacts of the drive-through on Reserve Street and the 3rd Street intersection were brought up. Staff had coordinated with Public Works and Mobility early on in the design process as part of design excellence review and as part of this variance review. As part of that coordination, the Public Works Department informed us that the forecasted trips predicted by the installation of this development were not enough to warrant a traffic report, and as such were not enough to warrant any improvements as a result of the installation of the drive-through. I believe Troy Monroe is in attendance from Public Works and Mobility, and if there are any questions concerning that, he may be available to answer them. As part of the variance requirements, a hardship is required to be presented. Based upon the application received, the current layout of the kitchen makes adding a drive-through at an alternative location feasible. This is cited as the hardship. This is the current layout of the existing building. As you can see, the restrooms and entrances are along the eastern side, which would be the potential other location of the drive-through, and the current kitchen facilities are located on the eastern side, where the proposed service window would be located. In addition to this, and as mentioned previously, the landscaping is above the what is typically required for vehicular use areas, and will mitigate the impacts of the drive-through on the surrounding areas. There are 3 other criteria besides the hardship, which was previously presented on. The second criteria is that the minimum zoning variance necessary, that this variance is the minimum zoning variance necessary to provide relief from the unnecessary hardships. The drive-through complies with all other zoning codes except those requested to be varied from. The drive lane will be 12 feet wide, which is the minimum permitted width. It will be set back as far from the roadway as possible while meeting the drive-through design requirements. The proposed drive-through design is the minimum variation from the zoning code that could be granted to accommodate a drive-through at this location. The third criteria is that the zoning variance is generally consistent with the overall purpose of this ordinance. The proposed drive-through will accomplish the primary objective of the zoning ordinance by providing over 20 feet of separation from the roads and the proposed drive-through improvements. The landscaping proposed exceeds the minimum landscaping requirements for drive-throughs in Title 20. The drive-through will be separated by more than 20 feet from the roadway and will be landscaped to screen and mitigate the impacts on the surrounding transportation corridors. And finally, the final criteria is that the zoning variance will result in substantial justice being done, considering both the public benefits intended to be secured by this zoning ordinance and the individual hardships that will be suffered if the zoning variance request is denied. The increased landscaping will mitigate the visual impacts on both Reserve Street and South 3rd Street West. In addition, the right-of-way is wider in this area, and the applicant will maintain 20-foot plus separation from the roadways. Without the requested variance, the drive-through would not be possible elsewhere on site. Staff is recommending that the Board of Adjustment approve the variance requested by Treasure State Ranches LLC, which is the applicant, based upon the applicant's packet, findings of fact, conclusions of law, and testimony heard at the public hearing, subject to one recommended condition of approval, which is as follows: that any future development must comply with the Title 20 ordinance, including all setbacks of the C12 Neighborhood Commercial Zoning District. Staff is available for questions. I believe the applicant and the applicant's representatives are available as well to make comments or answer any questions that the Board of Adjustments may have at this time. This concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you for the presentation. Are there any questions from the board?
Spencer, just to verify, it sounded like there weren't any, but this seems like there's been no changes to the proposal since last month's presentation.
That is correct. There have been no changes to the design, or no additional information has been presented.
Thanks, just want to make sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Turning to public, I see Paul Forsting has a hand raised.
Paul is the applicant's representative.
I see. Okay. Paul, would you like to add anything?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. Thank you. Paul Forsting, IMEG Corporation. I'm a land use planner. Thank you for meeting with us tonight to talk about this request. We've been working on this for over a year now, and it's really timely. With COVID, and the drive-through is becoming increasingly an increasingly important addition to a restaurant nowadays. Is a drive-through. Folks are wanting more than ever to have a convenient way of accessing the store and to get the food products that they sell. And so we very much appreciate you hearing us tonight. Normally I give a PowerPoint presentation, but I think Spencer's would have captured all of the pictures I would have liked to shared. I think the landscaping looks really nice, and we're really pleased with how it turned out. We're grateful that we were able to put together a plan that we can work on that exceeds the standards of what would be required by the Design Excellence Review. That Design Excellence Review was new to us. We hadn't ever been through that, and so getting through that process was good, and we're glad we did it, and we're glad we've got a high quality product now that you were here to review. So with that, I'm just available for comments and any questions you might have. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Hearing none, I just wanted to make my own statement that I'm really sorry that it's taken you guys over a year to get this done. That this was a time-sensitive thing. COVID has been very tough on food service businesses. So I'm sure you could have used the extra income that this might have provided. And I'm additionally sorry that the lack of availability of BOA members held you up an additional month. That includes my own. I was not available last month. So appreciate your patience. And I'd just like to say that this group has done an excellent job with the landscaping and upkeep of that site as it is. So I'm confident that what they do with this drive-through will be excellent as well. Is there anybody else who wants to lodge a statement, or can we move on to a vote?
This is Patrick Hans. I'm fine with moving on to vote. We usually do an internal discussion first, if I remember right, once we close the public comment.
Sure.
This is John Newman. Personally, I have no comments, questions, issues with this application, and am in favor of its approval.
As am I.
Same.
Does anybody have any concerns about it?
No, I think we can call for the motion.
Okay. So can I get a motion? And I think it'd be proper to read this into the minutes as it was written, which I'm looking for. I don't know. Can someone make the motion and read it into the minutes? I'm having trouble finding it on my laptop.
Looks like they're looking for it here. There it is.
I'd be happy to make the motion and move the Board of Adjustment approve the variance request by Treasure State Ranches LLC based on the applicant's packet, findings of fact, conclusions of law, and testimony heard at the public hearing this evening, subject to one recommended condition of approval as outlined by staff in the presentation.
I'll second.
All right. I think in this case, we can just act and see if there's anybody who is against. So anyone against approval? Hearing no response against, the variance is approved. So thank you, everybody. Moving on to the next agenda item. Is there any other business? Hearing none, I adjourn this meeting of the Missoula Board of Adjustments. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too.